Good morning, children. So let's begin with our next session. Before that, we'll just have a small recap of what we have done in last week. So if you remember, we started with the next lesson, that is energy flow in ecosystem. In that, we discussed what is ecosystem, what are biotic and what are abiotic components. And then we began with food chain and food webs. After that, we started with energy flow in an ecosystem and nutrients flow in an ecosystem. How energy in an ecosystem flows in unidirectional, that is from sun to plant to living organisms, but it does not go back into the sun. However, in case of nutrients by help of sun plant prepare by photosynthesis, and then they keep on circulating on the earth. So these both things we discussed thoroughly, that is flow of energy and flow of nutrients. The next topic that today we are going to begin is with biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle. It consists of three things: biology, geography and chemistry. Biogeochemicals. Now what do you understand by this biogeochemical cycles? Bio meaning living organisms, geo meaning geography or something which is related to the earth or biosphere, and chemical cycle meaning the abiotic factors, the nutrients, those are the chemicals. So these chemicals actually keep on moving in a cyclic fashion from biotic factors to abiotic factors, from living organism to non-living organism and back again into the living organism. So this cycle keeps on continuing, or it keeps on rotating. The nutrients keep on moving from living to non-living, non-living back into the living. So these are commonly termed as biogeochemical cycles. Now in your textbook on page number 84, the definition is given: cyclic flow of nutrients within an ecosystem is called as biogeochemical cycle. By nutrients we mean the five basic nutrients, that is carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. Now carbohydrates are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Same way proteins are made up of nitrogen, oxygen and carbon. Fats or lipids are also made up of carbon and hydrogen. Minerals are nothing but elements. So vitamins are also made up of nitrogen and carbon and hydrogen. So these are the chemicals which keep on moving from living organism into non-living and from non-living back into the living. So this cyclic flow of the nutrients in the ecosystem is called as biogeochemical cycle. Now in nature they are classified, biogeochemical cycles are basically classified into two types as gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. Gaseous cycle means the nutrients or chemicals are generally present in the gaseous state. For example, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, these all things are present mostly in gaseous state. And in case of sedimentary means stable, stationary. So in case of sedimentary cycle, the nutrients or chemicals are present in the form of solids. Example, coal. Apart from coal you have calcium, sodium, chlorine. These are all mostly, not chlorine, sodium especially is present in the form of sedimentation or in the form of solid. So biogeochemical cycles are categorized into two types as gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. Now though they are categorized into two, it is very difficult to separate them. Because just consider one example of carbon. Now carbon can be present in both gaseous cycle as well as sedimentary cycle. How? I will explain. Carbon in the form of carbon dioxide is taken up by the plants. By help of photosynthesis, they convert that carbon dioxide into a complex substance called as carbohydrates. These carbohydrates form part of solid. Now, there can be two scenarios. The carbohydrates can either be burned by burning the wood. Then it gets converted into coal. That is sedimentation. Carbon gets converted into coal, or carbon dioxide which was in the air now is sedimented in the form of coal. Second thing which can happen is that carbohydrates can be consumed by living organisms. We digest the carbohydrates to produce energy, and as a result of that, carbon dioxide gas is produced, and it is again released out in the form of respiration. So this carbon can either be found in gaseous cycle, or it can be found in sedimentary cycle also. One more thing that can happen is all the living organisms, both plants and animals, may die and may get buried into the soil, and they can undergo fossilization over the period of years. Due to fossilization, again they get deposited in the form of sedimentary cycle, or their nutrients or chemicals remain in the form of solids or liquids deep in the bowels of the earth. So these two things can happen, but clear cut demarcation is not possible. Both the cycles are interdependent on one another. In biogeochemical cycle, there are many cycles. Each chemical can have its own cycle. Like we can have carbon cycle, oxygen cycle, nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, sodium cycle, and so on. But in this chapter, we are going to only study 3 biogeochemical cycle, that is carbon cycle, oxygen cycle, and nitrogen cycle. These 3 are most essential because they are present in living organisms in larger quantities. Now, let's begin with carbon cycle. Now, in your textbook, page number 85, figure number 7.6, you will see the carbon cycle. Now, in carbon cycle, what do you understand in this carbon cycle? First of all, definition. What is definition of carbon cycle? The paragraph itself states the circulation and recycling of carbon from the atmosphere to living organisms, and after their death back into the atmosphere is called as carbon cycle. Now carbon moves from living to non-living, non-living to living. Now we are going to discuss in detail how this carbon moves. I already gave you example earlier also of carbon. Same thing we'll discuss in detail. Just go through the diagram on the textbook page number 85. You will see. Now let's start with that cycle from respiration in animals, or let's start respiration in plants. Respiration in plant meaning carbon dioxide is absorbed and oxygen is released out. Now plant during photosynthesis take in carbon dioxide, convert it into carbohydrates and store in their bodies. This carbohydrate is consumed by the herbivorous animals. It goes into herbivorous animal. From herbivorous, it can go in carnivorous animals also. And finally, when they all die, the nutrients will be by help of decomposers, the nutrient or carbon will go back into the atmosphere. At the same time, during the lifetime, the organisms respire. During respiration, we give out carbon dioxide. And if fossilization occurs, then also carbon becomes a part of fuel, fossil fuels or of fossils. At the same time, these fossils can be used as a source of energy in the industries. They also burn and they also do combustion, and again carbon dioxide is formed. So basically carbon dioxide keeps on moving from living organisms into non-living organism back into the living organism. So you will see 2 chemical reactions are given. One is of photosynthesis and other is of respiration. So in these 2 processes, carbon dioxide basically moves in and out of living organisms. In process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken in by the plant and converted into converted into glucose or carbohydrate. Same carbohydrate, when is consumed by the living organisms, we do respiration, we decompose or we utilize the carbohydrate to generate energy, and carbon dioxide is formed as a byproduct which we respire out. So this is how the carbon dioxide keeps on moving from living to non-living back into the living organisms. That was about carbon cycle. Now after that, even after the death, the decomposers decompose our body and release back the nutrients and carbon as well. Next, we have questions. 3 questions are there. Think about it. First question: The carbon cycle is very effective in the temperate region. Why is it so? Now, temperate region is the region where we get maximum sunlight, and thus plants can utilize that sunlight for doing photosynthesis. So large amount of photosynthesis occurs in the temperate region because we get large amount of sun rays over there, and carbon dioxide can be converted into carbohydrate by process of photosynthesis. That is why we see active carbon cycle in temperate region. Then second question, even though carbon content on the earth is constant, we already have studied in previous classes also that all the nutrients on the earth are constant. So carbon, the percentage of carbon on earth, percentage of nitrogen, percentage of oxygen, these all are fixed. So that's what they are telling. Even though the carbon content on the earth is constant, why is there rise in temperature due to carbon dioxide? Now you just have to think a little on, though the carbon concentration on the earth is constant, recently you can see that global warming is occurring due to carbon dioxide. Now 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago also same amount of carbon was present on the earth. Today also same amount of carbon is present on the earth, but global warming has increased due to carbon dioxide. The reason is carbon dioxide, carbon in the form of carbon dioxide is present in large amount in the atmosphere. That carbon dioxide should be again brought back and fixed by help of plants. By photosynthesis, that carbon dioxide should actually turn into carbohydrate and remain in the body of plants or utilized by the animals. However, in the recent years, due to industrialization, due to deforestation, the number of plants which are actually able to convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrate, the number of that plants is reduced, and hence concentration of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have increased, and that leads to global warming because carbon dioxide has ability to trap the heat in it, and that heat remains on the earth, which results into global warming and melting of ice caps. Next question, identify the relationship between carbon in air and the rise in atmospheric temperature. That's what we discussed right now, global warming. Carbon dioxide, actually carbon in the form of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has ability to trap the heat which is received from the sun. In normal course, generally what happens is sunlight and heat enters on the earth and it reflects back from the earth's surface. When it is reflecting back from the earth's surface, atmosphere if contains large amount of carbon dioxide, that carbon dioxide does not allow the heat to pass back into the atmosphere or to pass back into the space. This leads to rise in temperature of the earth. So that was it for today. We have discussed today of biogeochemical cycle and carbon cycle. Next period we will be dealing with oxygen cycle and nitrogen cycle. So I'll just post the video as well as assignment. Make sure you do it on time. Take care. Bye.